Here today because, as my grandmother said, an idle mind is a playground for the devil. So what does that mean? That means that to me, and I've said this for years, and I developed the Farrah Foundation. It's been about 10 years. I'm getting old now. It's been about 10 years, and when I developed the foundation, I realized that after school programs would be the catalyst to save a generation that, as some people would call, a lost generation. As it says in the scripture that where there is no vision, the people perish. Or as I like to say, where there's no vision, then people go buck wild. Because a whole generation, in some respects, is being lost because they're being raised by BET, which to me is nothing but an acronym for Bad Education Television. So what has happened is that once we leave the school setting, what happens to us after that? We're living in a world, I think, where our souls and minds as inner city youth are in great danger. Where violence is at an all-time high. Suicide rates due to alcohol and drugs. Youth pregnancy is at an all-time high. So what happens to us afterwards? And what happens is that's when the people in this room, which I believe are really the pioneers and the captains of the ship, because you're what I call the stakeholders. And that's why it's so important for me to be here today, because a lot of people talk about support for youth, but they don't do much. A lot of people talk right but walk left. So it's important for you to continue to move and be steadfast and realize that it is up to you here in this room, and it's a lot of pressure, but it's up to you to bring together, to build and launch the next generation of the world's solutions that will positively contribute to our economic, our political, and our social fabrics. And I believe that the generation that you work with will improve the entire nation. But we have to have a dream. We have to believe. My grandmother always taught me, she said, any time that you're told what you can't do, she told me of the story of an 8-year-old who was in art class and he was drawing a picture. And his art teacher walked over and said, what are you doing, young man? He said, I'm drawing a picture of God. She said, no one knows what God looks like. The 8-year-old kept drawing, looked at better and said, they will when I finish my picture. So you have to believe in yourself when nobody else will. Because growing up on the south side of Chicago, anybody from Chicago in here? Okay. What do you know about Harold's Chicken? With or without the sauce? And what do you know about Yes We Can? Okay. I believe that in growing up, it was called the Robert Taylor Project. That we grew up so poor. When I say poor, I have to sometimes break it down evologically speaking. I grew up poor. Okay, some of you can understand. I grew up so poor, when most people see rats and roaches, you know, they scream, it's a rat. For us, it was like, move over, we had to go to sleep. That's just how it was, but I continued to pray and I continued to dream that there was more to life than our surroundings. But what my pivotal moment was, and I think everybody, no matter what age you are, everybody has to have a pivotal moment. And my pivotal moment was when my mother had a heart attack, and the doctor said that she may not live. And sometimes MDs confuse the MD and they think they're GOD. I don't know how we can tell anyone how long they have to live. God is truly the answer to how long someone has to live. We can call them an So I believe that when I heard that, I got up when I was 6 years old and I heard some of you chuckling. My first business was painting oversized rocks. Because I said to myself, I'm not going to come home until I've helped my mom pay the bills. So I took oversized rocks I saw on the streets and I would start to paint them. And I would knock on people's doors. I never called her a rock, so would you like to buy this? And people look at me like, isn't that the rock that was in front of my door? Yeah, see, it's different now. And then you can use this bookends, paperweights, and doorstop. People look at me like, yeah, okay. Well, I made $50, so I had 5,000 pennies. So as the song goes, you couldn't tell me I wasn't balling. I was rich. But it was about dreaming. It was about believing in myself when nobody else would. So why, again, am I here? I'm here because I believe in the people in this room, because I remember that I had a teacher tell me, I'll never forget it. I was 7 years old, and I fixed my clothes, and I was really proud of myself. I told her, I said, I'm going to be a millionaire entrepreneur one day. And she was used to, different students saying they were going to be doctors, attorneys, social workers, biochemists. And she looked at me when I said I was going to be a millionaire and entrepreneur one day. And she looked at me and she said, no, you're not. She said, because you're poor. And your family's poor. You better go find somebody to work for. And she pointed to McDonald's. So for me, when I got home, some of you may have seen my grandmother on that 2020 special. Very sweet lady. Bakes cookies and really sweet lady, cooks and cookie anything you want. Sweetest lady in the world. But she has a quick right hand and a temper. And I learned that the hard way a few times. So when I came here, I said, Grandmother, my teacher told me that I can't be successful, and essentially I would end up working at McDonald's. I said, I think that might be true. And she looked at me and she said, listen, she said, I don't want to ever hear you say that again. She said, because no matter what anyone tells you, never allow anyone's perception of you to become your reality. She said, if you want millions, if you want a mansion, and prophetically, she said, if you want to help put an end to homelessness. And as I stand before you today, for the past 4 years, I've been a spokesman for the National Coalition for the Homeless in Washington, D.C. I'm on my way there in a couple of hours. When I found out that the average age of a homeless person was 9.5 years old, I said there must be something that I could do to help. So when I was talking to my grandmother, she said, listen, honey, she said, wake up every morning and say, why not me? She said, if you want whatever you want in life, she said, no matter what it is, wake up every morning and say, why not me?